What if the sky above isn't just empty space, but layer upon layer of cosmic realms? In this video, Enoch Explained, the 10 heavens, what he saw will terrify you. We dive deep into the ancient book of Enoch and uncover his mysterious journey through 10 astonishing heavens. From angelic realms to terrifying prisons of fallen spirits, Enoch's visions reveal a universe far more complex and unsettling than we ever imagined. Prepare for divine wonders, cosmic secrets, and chilling revelations. Subscribe now as we unravel what Enoch saw and why it still sends shockwaves through spiritual seekers today. The Forbidden Prophet. Among the most enigmatic figures in ancient religious literature is Enoch, a man who walked with God and was taken to heaven without dying. Genesis 5 verse 24. But beyond the Bible's cryptic mention, Enoch's story explodes into apocalyptic detail in a group of ancient texts known as the Books of Enoch. In these writings, Enoch becomes a traveler of the heavens, guided by angels, witnessing visions so profound and disturbing that they were considered too dangerous or strange for inclusion in most modern Bibles. One of the most striking parts of this tradition appears in 2 Enoch, also known as the Slavonic Book of Enoch, where Enoch describes ascending through 10 heavens. What he sees there is not just angelic choirs and divine thrones, it's also terrifying prisons, judgment chambers, and warnings for humanity. These visions combine wonder with fear, revealing a layered cosmos that functions like a spiritual bureaucracy. Let us now walk with Enoch as he is led by angelic guides through each heaven. His journey is symbolic, mythic, and mystical, but also deeply unsettling. The first heaven, the realm of clouds and weather. Enoch's journey begins in the first heaven, a realm close to earth. It is here that he witnesses angelic guardians overseeing natural phenomena, winds, snow, rain, and dew. These angels manage the flow of nature, acting like divine meteorologists who channel energy into the earthly realm. However, Enoch also sees something horrifying: fallen angels, known as the Grigori, who dwell in the lower part of this heaven. These are the watchers who transgress divine law by lusting after human women and teaching forbidden knowledge. They are imprisoned, but their influence lingers, a warning that corruption can exist even in heavenly places. The second heaven, the prison of the fallen. The second heaven is more terrifying. It is a dark realm, a place of punishment, where more fallen angels are bound in eternal torment. These angels cry out in pain, pleading with Enoch to intercede with God on their behalf, but he cannot. This realm introduces a cosmic legal system. Even divine beings are judged when they betray their roles. The second heaven emphasizes divine justice. The sorrowful wailing of these imprisoned beings sets a grim tone for Enoch's ascent, reminding the reader that the higher one climbs spiritually, the greater the fall can be. The third heaven, paradise and the abyss. The third heaven contains 2 extremes, one of overwhelming beauty and the other of unspeakable horror. On one side, Enoch sees paradise, filled with lush trees, rivers of milk and honey, fragrant blossoms, and joy beyond comprehension. This is the realm prepared for the righteous, those who keep divine commandments and live in truth. But on the opposite side, he witnesses a terrible, dark place, the abyss of hell. Here are the souls of the wicked, writhing in flames, awaiting final judgment. It's a shocking contrast. Heaven and hell coexist in this layer of the cosmos. This duality reflects the human condition. Enoch's third heaven warns us that paradise and punishment are not separate destinies. They grow from the same root, depending on one's spiritual alignment. The fourth heaven, the celestial calendar. In the fourth heaven, Enoch is shown the celestial mechanics that regulate time. Here, the sun and moon operate with astonishing precision, rising and setting under the supervision of angels who maintain cosmic order. These are not just orbs, but living entities governed by divine law. Enoch sees chariots of light and beings controlling the transitions of day and night. The fourth heaven is like a divine observatory, where the architecture of time itself is managed. More than just a lesson in astronomy, this realm conveys a deeper message. The universe is not random. It is designed, purposeful, and watched over. The fifth heaven, the grieving watchers. In the fifth heaven, Enoch encounters the watchers who have not yet been judged. These are the angels who came down to earth and corrupted humankind with secrets of war, magic, and lust. But here, they are not rebellious. They are sorrowful, silent, and repenting. They dwell in mourning, dressed in darkness, hoping that God might forgive them. This heaven shows that even powerful beings can experience regret. It's a sobering reflection on the weight of choices. The watcher's grief serves as a spiritual mirror, reminding us that guilt without transformation is torment. The sixth heaven, the governors of nature and nations. The sixth heaven is an awe-inspiring place filled with powerful angels, known as archangels. These beings govern the seasons, the stars, the planets, human affairs, languages, and the fates of nations. This realm reveals a deeply structured universe, where spiritual forces manage reality like a cosmic administration. Enoch learns that events on earth, wars, famines, even cultural shifts, are reflections of divine decisions. The sixth heaven shows us the spiritual infrastructure behind history. It implies that what we see as chaos may actually be the result of unseen decisions from above. The seventh heaven, the fiery hosts and throne room proximity. In the seventh heaven, Enoch comes into contact with the fiery armies of God, including seraphim, cherubim, and other heavenly hosts. These radiant beings are terrifying in their holiness. Flames surround them, and they chant the divine name in unceasing praise. He witnesses the fiery river of glory that flows before the throne of God and is almost blinded by the radiance. It's not peaceful, it's overwhelming, magnificent, and deeply fearsome. Holiness here is not gentle, it's a consuming fire. This is where Enoch begins to sense that the divine is not merely benevolent, it is also unfathomably powerful, vast, and alien to human comprehension. The eighth heaven, the zodiac and the firmament of stars. The eighth heaven is the realm of the constellations and fixed stars. Here dwell the signs of the zodiac, placed in the heavens as cosmic markers that influence destinies. These are not symbols, they are living realities, part of the machinery that governs fate. The eighth heaven implies that astrology, in its original form, was not superstition but divine science. The stars are not gods, but their placement and motion are encoded with meaning. Enoch is told that only a few can interpret these signs truly. The message is clear. The heavens declare more than beauty. They carry messages for those with eyes to see. The ninth heaven, the thrones and the boundary of creation. The ninth heaven is where the divine thrones are set. These are not just seats, but cosmic positions of authority, reserved for angelic rulers and perhaps even exalted souls. This is the boundary before God's throne, a liminal space where creation ends and eternity begins. It's here that order and power converge, and Enoch is almost unable to speak due to the sheer gravity of the atmosphere. There is a silence here, a kind of holy pressure, where all movement ceases in anticipation of the presence beyond. This heaven represents the limit of what created beings can endure, the border of infinity. The 10th heaven, the face of God. Finally, Enoch is brought to the 10th heaven, where he beholds the presence of God, called the Most High, surrounded by fiery choirs and beings made of light. But what's most astonishing is that Enoch is transformed. He is made to stand with angels, given robes of glory, and told secrets meant only for the highest realms. He sees the record books of humanity, the divine archives, and the future fate of souls. Here time, judgment, and mercy coexist in divine balance. Rather than die, Enoch is transfigured. God tells him to return to earth and write what he saw for future generations. Interpretation. What does it all mean? The 10 heavens of Enoch are more than just spiritual sightseeing. They are a map of the soul, an allegory of inner transformation. Each level represents stages of consciousness, moral development, and cosmic responsibility. First to third heavens deal with the visible and moral cosmos, weather, judgment, and the reward of the soul. Fourth to sixth show us time, the forces of history, and regret. Seventh to 10th lift us into terrifying holiness, fate, and finally, direct communion with the divine. The journey is terrifying not because of monsters or punishment alone, but because it reveals how insignificant and yet accountable we are. The heavens are majestic, but they demand something from us. The prophet beyond time. Enoch is a figure who walks the line between myth and mystery, a man so righteous that he did not taste death, but was instead taken by God. Genesis 5 verse 24. While only briefly mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, Enoch becomes the central figure of a vast and visionary body of literature, most notably, the Book of Enoch, also known as 1 Enoch, a text that stretches the imagination with its vivid cosmology, angelic hierarchies, and prophetic revelations. Among the most compelling aspects of Enoch's writings is his warning to humanity. Given visions of earth, heaven, and the fate of souls, Enoch is told to write what he has seen, not just as a record of divine secrets, but as a dire admonition. His warnings speak of judgment, corruption, fallen angels, the punishment of the wicked, and the eventual triumph of divine justice. While apocalyptic in tone, Enoch's warnings are not messages of despair. They are calls to awareness, repentance, and spiritual alignment. They were intended not just for his generation, but for all who would come after. The context, Enoch and the Watchers. To understand Enoch's warning, we must begin with one of the most critical narratives in his book, the story of the Watchers. These were angels assigned to observe the earth, but they became enamored with human women and descended to earth, taking them as wives. This rebellion was more than just moral corruption. It disrupted the order of heaven and introduced forbidden knowledge to mankind, sorcery, weapons of war, astrology, and vanity. This tale, recounted in the Book of Enoch, chapters 6 to 16, is more than myth. It is a symbolic explanation for the origin of evil, human suffering, and spiritual degeneration. The Watcher's actions are seen as a cosmic betrayal, one that corrupted both earth and heaven. Enoch is chosen to intercede on behalf of these fallen angels, but God refuses their petition. Instead, Enoch is shown visions of the coming judgment, and it is here that his warnings begin to take shape. Warning number 1. Judgment is inevitable. One of the core messages of Enoch's writings is this: a day of judgment is certain. Unlike many modern views that reduce divine justice to an abstract or postponed idea, Enoch's vision is sharp and vivid. He sees thrones prepared, books opened, and names recorded. There is a detailed accountability for every deed, intention, and hidden action. In 1 Enoch 91:7, 10, Enoch delivers a series of woes to the wicked, saying, "Woe to those who build unrighteousness and oppression, they shall be wiped off the face of the earth." This warning applies to the giants born of the Watchers, to corrupt rulers, and to those who exploit others. But it also warns everyday people who turn away from truth. For Enoch, the universe is not random, it is a moral order, and everything in it moves toward reckoning. Warning number 2. the earth itself will cry out. Another haunting feature of Enoch's warning is the idea that the earth is a living witness to human sin. In chapter 7, the offspring of the Watchers, giants known as the Nephilim, ravaged the earth, consuming all its resources, spilling blood, and turning creation into chaos. And the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. 1 Enoch 7:6. The earth is not merely a stage upon which history plays out. It is a participant, a sacred creation that groans under the weight of human corruption. This echoes later in Romans 8 verse 22, where Paul writes, "The whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth." Enoch warns that environmental collapse, famine, and natural disasters are not only consequences of human behavior. They are cosmic responses to spiritual imbalance. Warning number 3. Hidden knowledge is dangerous. In modern times, knowledge is often celebrated as inherently good. But Enoch offers a counterpoint. When the Watchers descend, they bring humanity secret knowledge. Enchantments, cutting of roots, metalwork, beautification techniques, astrology, and the making of weapons. These arts, according to Enoch, were not meant for humanity at that stage. They accelerate violence, vanity, and spiritual confusion. This isn't a condemnation of learning, but of knowledge pursued without wisdom or divine guidance. Today, we can see parallels in our unchecked pursuit of technology and power, where ethics often lag behind innovation. Enoch's warning is clear. What is known must be spiritually grounded, or it becomes a curse. Warning number 4. The righteous must persevere. Not all of Enoch's words are for the wicked. In fact, many of his most urgent messages are for the righteous minority, those who strive to live justly in a corrupt world. In 1 Enoch 94:1, he writes, "You righteous ones, hear me, walk in righteousness, and do not grow weary." This is a call to spiritual endurance. Enoch acknowledges the weight of injustice, the loneliness of virtue, and the temptation to give up. But he promises that vindication will come, that books are being kept, and that those who suffer for righteousness will one day rejoice. For those who feel powerless against evil, Enoch's message is that every act of faith counts, even when unseen. Warning number 5. Leadership will be judged more harshly. One of the most pointed critiques in Enoch's warnings is against corrupt leaders, be they kings, priests, or elders. In the book of parables, 1 Enoch 37-71, he speaks of the shepherds of Israel who betray their trust. These figures exploit, mislead, and devour their flocks. Enoch sees their downfall. "You have eaten the fat of the sheep, clothed yourselves with their wool. I will deliver my sheep from your mouth." 1 Enoch 89. Here, leadership is seen as a sacred responsibility, not a license for dominance. Those with influence, political, spiritual, or social, will be held accountable in proportion to their power. In a modern context, this warning applies to governments, corporations, religious institutions, and anyone who manipulates truth for gain. Warning number 6. The Messiah will come as judge. One of the most profound revelations in Enoch is the vision of a messianic figure, referred to as the Son of Man, the elect one, and the righteous judge. This figure will appear at the end of days to execute justice, uplift the righteous, and cast down the mighty who have misused their power. And the elect one shall sit on the throne of glory, and the deeds of sinners shall be weighed. 1 Enoch 61:8. This prophetic figure resembles later descriptions of Jesus in Christian texts, particularly in the book of Revelation. But in Enoch, this figure is not only a savior, but a divine judge sent to restore balance. The warning here is spiritual and urgent. Prepare for the coming of divine truth, for it will lay bare all illusions. Enoch's message for today: why it still matters. Why should we care about Enoch today? Because the themes in his visions are startlingly relevant. Corruption among spiritual and political leaders. Environmental collapse caused by greed. The misuse of technology and knowledge. The struggle of good people in a dark world. The coming reckoning for humanity's choices. Enoch presents a worldview where morality is written into the fabric of the cosmos. His warnings are not just religious, they are ecological, ethical, and existential. In a world where we often feel powerless before systemic evil, Enoch's visions remind us that nothing escapes notice, that justice is real, and that spiritual vigilance is necessary. Writing on the scrolls of heaven. At the end of his visions, Enoch is told, "Write all these things and give them to your sons and to the generations of the world." 1 Enoch 82:1. This is not merely instruction, it is a mission. Enoch's task is to leave behind a map, a warning, and a hope for future ages. He does not tell us when the end will come, nor does he demand blind obedience. Rather, he invites us to wake up, to look at the world with spiritual eyes, and to live in harmony with divine order. Enoch's warnings are not meant to terrorize, they are meant to transform. So the question remains, will we listen? Thanks for joining us on this mind-bending journey through Enoch's 10 heavens. From realms of glory to places of judgment, his visions offer a glimpse into a hidden cosmic order that's both awe-inspiring and deeply unsettling. If Enoch's revelations stirred something in you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into ancient mysteries and forgotten texts. What do you think these heavens mean? Could they be symbolic or literal? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, keep your eyes open, because the truth might be far stranger than fiction.